Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Welcome in our Azure video, Azure Load Testing. In this video, we will be going to talk about what is Azure Load Testing is and how it can help us to test the application performance through the Azure Managed Services. Well, here is the agenda of this video. So we will be going to understand the basic understanding of Azure Load Testing, what are the benefits, and then I will walk you through with one of the reference architecture, and then we're going to understand how we can identify the bottlenecks, how we can enable the automated load testing, what is the testing process look like, and at the end we will be going to have a little demo where I would be going to show you how exactly you can create your load testing service on Azure and how you can perform a basic load testing using the Azure load testing services. Well, Azure Load Testing is currently a fully managed load testing services that enable you to generate high scale load. Currently, the service is in a preview, and there was a few functions and a few services which are available for general availability. Uh, the service simulate traffic for your application, regardless of where they are hosted. Develop, test, and QA insurance engineer can use it to optimize the application performance, scalability, and the capabilities. We can automate the testing by running the load testing as a part of our continuously integration and continuously development workflow. Azure load testing enable you to test private application endpoint for application that are hosted on your on-premise as well. So that's where the Azure load testing help us, and that's where and that is all about the Azure load testing. Now, what are the benefits we are going to get it with the Azure load testing is easy to use. It's a pretty much simple and straightforward. Take any JMeter script and plug in it into the load testing. So JMeter is the one of the testing parameters of the script where you can take it advantage and you can import that directly into the load testing to perform the load testing. Measure both client side and the server side metrics during the load testing. Configurable with the virtual users and simulate the load testing. So you can configure how many virtual users or through how many virtual users you want to do the testing. You can do that as well. Integration with Azure pipelines and the GitHub. Can use the managed identities in Azure, support many Azure resources types for server-side monitoring. So these are the all benefits which we will be going to get with Azure load testing. Well, here is the reference architecture. So you can see at the left side you do have a load testing where you are having multiple ways of doing it. Like either you can use the GitHub and DevOps for CI/CD for automated load testing, and then JMeter scripts can be injected. Test engines will be there who will be going to run the testing on the application. The application can be a public and private endpoint. And then the metrics is something is going to be imported into the Azure Monitor, and through the Azure Monitor we can see what are the metrics are looks like. So this is how overall your Azure load testing can be run into the Azure. Well, where load testing can help us test your scalabilities, like it it can help us to know where and how much scaling can be happen. Test how your application perform under the stress. Test your signals and the monitors. Verify that you can get the alert or not. So it means like in case of any CPU memory ticks IOPS has been reached to the specific limit, are we getting any alerts for any of these failures, right? Does your application load balance? Measure your server side traffic, see how the servers services you use to support your solution behave, and any flags has been raised during the load. Measure your client side metrics, track the response time, the number of requests happening per second, how many users are being loaded into the system. This can help into the correcting the data with the what happened on the server service side. So these are the all things which we can do, and where the load testing can help us. The another benefits which we can is like Identify the performance bottleneck. It's a very important, like how many users, how many maximum connections, how many multiple concurrent connections can be happen to a specific applications. That's something we can identify, right? The performance problem often remain undetected until an application is under load. You can start high scale load testing in Azure Portal to learn sooner how your application behave under the stress while the testing is running. The Azure load testing dashboard provide you the live update of your client and servers and metrics. After the load testing is finished, you can see the dashboard to analyze the test results and identify the performance bottlenecks. For Azure hosted application, the dashboard show the detailed resource metrics of the Azure application components, right? Azure load testing keep a history of a test run and allow you to visually compare multiple runs to detect the performance regressions. So these are the things which you can do by using the Azure load testing, and that's where Azure load testing can help you to identify, you know, is there anything can be happen if your application is in a stress. Enable automated load testing. That's something is there. We can integrate our CI/CD pipelines with the Azure load testing at the meaningful point during the development lifecycle, where the automated load testing can be happen at the end of each sprint into the Arena staging environment to validate a release candidate build. Right? Azure load testing will automatically stop and automated load testing in response to specify error in a condition. You can also use the auto stopper listener in your Apache JMeter script, right? Automatically stopping safeguard you against the failing test further and recurring costs. For example, because of an incorrect configuration of endpoint URL, right? You can trigger Azure load testing from your Azure pipelines and the GitHub action workflow as well. Load testing process. So how the load testing is happen. So the Azure load testing use Apache JMeter version 5.4.3 for running the load test. You can use Apache JMeter plugins that are available on their own website for the testing the script, for the test script. The application can be hosted in anywhere, either it's on on-premise, either it's on Azure, either it's on Azure, other Azure cloud services, or maybe in other cloud also. To load the test services, you don't need to have the public endpoint, right? You can do the load testing into the application also, which is deployed into the virtual network as well. During the load, it's provide us the collection on the two side. It provides us the client side and the service side both. Like the client side metrics give you the details report by the test engine. The detail include the number of virtual users, the request response, and the number of requests per second. With the server side metrics, it's provided the information about the Azure application components. Azure load testing integrate with the Azure monitor include the application insight and the container insight to capture the detail from the Azure services. Depends on the type of services, different metrics are available. For example, metrics can be for the number of database read and the type of HTTP response or the container resource consumptions, right? Azure load testing automatically incorporate the best practices for Azure network to keep and make sure that your load testing run securely and reliably. Load testing can automatically stop if application endpoint or the Azure component start throttling the request. Right. So this is how you can do a load testing, and this is the whole process of having the load testing. Well, let's quickly jump into the demos. In the demo, I would be going to show you how exactly you can create your a load testing uh, service in Azure, and then how you can use it. So I have already created our load testing service in Azure. So this load testing service is created into the East US location, and this is how it's looks like, right? Now how exactly you can create this service? For that you need to go on to the search bar. You need to search for load testing, right? And this is the service Azure load testing. You just need to click on it. You just need to click on create, and then you need to specify in which resource group you want to create, in what is the instance name is going to be, what is the location, right? And what is the encryption type is going to be, and then you can specify your tag, click on review and create. It's going to validate all the basic informations and the other parameter which has been specified, and then you can click on create. That's how you can basically create your load testing service. After that, once your load testing service is created, this is how it looks like. And then from here, you only have the option to create the testing or tests, and from here you can create your testing. So let's take an example. I really want to create a very quick and simple testing. So from here, I can go ahead and specify what is the website is going to be. Let's take an example. I want to run it for azure.microsoft.com. I want to run what are the number of virtual users. So let's take an example. I want to go for this one, right? So you can run, you can only maximum have a 11,255 maximum virtual users. So you can start with that. So I can start with, I think, 1,000. Let's start with 1,000. It's going to consume for 33 0.33 virtual hour users. So the pricing is can be vary, right? I can start with the minimum 5 also, and then I can click on run the test. The one I run it test, it's going to run the test. It can give us the detailed summary. As of now, it's in a provisioning state, but once the test run is started, or the run is started, it's going to show us all the information here. It's going to show us the engine health also, right? Those are the details are available on directly on the on the portal, and we can download this as well, like what kind of logs, results, all of those things can be downloadable, right? You can see like what is the testing looks like. So you can see it's going to happen in a 5 maximum virtual user, and then it's showing me the testing, what is the uh, errors, or what is the things has been going on there, right? So all of those are the live metrics which we can see, and a part of that I can see the server side metrics as well. So as of now, we haven't configured any components for server side metrics, but I can go ahead and configure for the server side metrics as well, right? So that's it in this demo. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.